Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Information Paralysis podcast. Today we have Katyln Opal, a holistic health coach from Virginia Beach, Virginia. We're going to talk about the world's food crisis. Now, food is a fundamental part of life as a human being. If we get it even a little bit wrong, a lot goes wrong with the life of the human. So if we get it right, if we learn about what perfect food intake feels and looks like, then we can pass it on to the next generation. And there won't be any problems related to food. How many problems do we have related to food in society? We've got depression, we've got obesity, people worried about how they look, and pimples and such, right? Coming from diets. So, what do we do, Katyln? It's up to you. You have power. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. As a holistic health coach, I really just like to tell people that it's not about the outside appearance that matters, but it's really based on what's on the inside. And so a lot of people strive to get that physique in a gym and build muscle, which is great, but ultimately it comes down to what you're feeding your body, and it all starts with the food that we eat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we want to look good so that we can feel good. If we look terrible but felt like how we think we'd feel like if we had a six-pack, we'd be, you see happy people who are obese. We're like, how are they happy? They're obese. That is evidence of the false beliefs that we carry. So yeah, it's all about the inner. So what do we put inside us? Now, a great little concept I think of is, if it's alive, then I want to put it in my body, right? If it's dead, then it's going to take my life force to deal with it. So I'm going to feel sluggish. So that means then that whole foods is the way to go. Is that right? What is a whole food?
In my opinion,
Yeah.
the whole food is basically any sort of fruit, vegetable, anything of that nature. And I agree with you completely. I do think whole foods is the way to go. Personally, I'm vegan. Are you as well?
On and off,
Okay. Fair enough. And I'm not here to judge anyone by any means, but evidence does show that people who consume primarily plant-based foods, sprinkle in a little bit of meat here and there, if you please, or fish. Lean fish is great too. But it's just so much better for your health and well-being. Mm. And even some of my friends that hang around me, they don't eat meat as often because we're all together and we're cooking. And they've noticed that throughout the weeks that they haven't had meat, their mental clarity's improved, they've gained more energy, and it's just like really incredible to hear people say that.
Yes, I prefer not eating meat, and not even just like because then I feel right, or I feel like a good person, but I feel like I feel good in the inside. So, how easy is it to incorporate this lifestyle? Does it cost a lot?
So that, I feel like, is a big misconception. There's so many ways you can do it, really. I mean, if you tend to shop at Whole Foods and only Whole Foods, yes, it'll definitely be expensive.
Yes.
But what I have learned is going to my local farmers markets and shopping with seasons. Is a great way to do it.
My local is the Sussex Peasant. Now I'm going to plug them here. I've moved out, right? I moved out 3 months ago. The day that I came and visited this place, I was walking around with my mother, walking around the area. I see this mobile farm shop And it's got all the stuff there, all the food there. They bring it from all the farms around the area, and and I'm living off it. So, yeah, it's been my sustenance, and
It is super important, however, to make sure that when you do go shopping for local produce, that you ask people if they spray with pesticides,
yes.
Just because that's a really big thing right now. For those of you that don't know, glyphosate, it's one of the main ingredients in Roundup. And I actually went to a local farmer's market, and they had a bunch of different stands. So there's people from all over bringing their fruits, their veggies. And to every single person I went to, I asked them if they use glyphosate or spray with pesticides. And majority of the people said no, but then there was this one man that said he does. And I really wish, I was like, I wish I had my phone out, because just like talking to him back and forth, it was such a great conversation. I asked him why he decides to do that, because knowing that it turns so many people away. But I did, however, really appreciate his honesty.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely.
Because some people, he said, will lie to you.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, it's just not really fair for us as consumers to be lied to and ingest those pesticides without knowing. Like, we should ultimately always have the choice.
Yes. I'd like to say about the Sussex peasants that on their websites they say that they don't use that stuff, and they seem to be in the know. They, you can kind of tell when people know about health. Like our passion kind of shines out. Yeah. Do you also feel like a very lucky person to have found this passion? Cultivate this passion, because it's quite rare. I think it's becoming quite vogue since.
It is. It's crazy now how on Instagram you see all these different influencers in regards to fitness, health, all the things. But it's just kind of hard nowadays navigating through all the different health advice. It's like, what do I do? Where do I go? And so that's why I just like to really go back to the basics and tell people that eat whole foods, drink a lot of water, move your body. It's just like these simple little things that we forget.
Yeah, we definitely forget it, because this species, we've done very well, haven't we? Look at this. What? Yeah. So we forget that we're animals, and but the higher consciousness part of the aspects of the higher aspects of human life, we can actually sort of zoom out and view human life in a third person and really care for the animal that we're using to view the universe with. So, yeah, learning about it's like learning about a rabbit. I got a new rabbit. I don't. But let's say I had a new rabbit. I really love this rabbit. I want it to live for as long as I live. So I'm going to learn about exactly what I need to put in it. So I think if people take that. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So silence is quite nice, actually.
It is. Have you ever taken a vow of silence?
No. That sounds...
Ooh.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
So every month I was taking a 2-day vow of silence. And during that time, I didn't read, write, listen to anything, no phones at all, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was really, really cool. I was inspired by, I wonder if I have the book on my bookshelf. It's called A Spiritual Memoir. This woman had gifted it to me at a farm-to-table restaurant I used to work at called Commune. And she had actually written the book. And I was like, wow, this is so special. Like, thank you so much. And so I was inspired by her vow of silence to take mine. And through that time, it's just crazy, like all the things that we don't notice because we're so consumed in our phones, like mainly the phones, you know, like social media has really taken over. And so not having that and like going out in nature and really immersing yourself in the earth and feeling the ground and looking at the trees, like it's so, so nice. And so that's something I really love doing every month, just to reconnect back with myself and the world.
Yes, I think I've observed in myself as I've lived alone for the first time this past. Yeah, the thought stream is, you know, reading a book. It's great, but it's if you're having a negative thought stream, you can just read a book, and then it's like you jump onto a different train line, isn't it? You know, if you have no intake of no influence to the thought stream other than experiences that are not text, or you know, then I suppose that'd be very cleansing.
You said cleansing?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it also helps me just kind of step back and not speak as much, you know, because after you come out of that, one of the most powerful things is using your voice again. Like, we have such a gift being able to speak and voice our opinion. And so typically when I come out of my silence, I like to be right in front of my mirror and then recite my affirmations. That's like the first thing I do. And it's so, so powerful.
Well, I'll definitely you give that a try. Yeah. Okay. So endless topics to segue to, but how long have we got now then? You know,
I know we veered off a little bit.
Yeah, about 30 minutes. All right. Yeah, the food crisis.
It's a very, very big happening right now, especially during the pandemic. Like, now is one of the best times and most important times to get healthy and level up your health.
It is. Yeah, I think the problem is sort of so gargantuan that it's kind of impossible to zoom out to see the entire shape. But the more people who do that, we each see, we each see a part of it. But I think logically, to me, it seems that what we need to focus on is the kids, the young generations. So it's quite great that health is becoming sort of vogue, you know, because the kids follow the popular 20-year-olds and such.
Absolutely.
So I think about the food that I had in school, that I was offered in the school. Brownies, cakes, pizza.
Oh man,
so
I feel you. The choices are so poor in today's schools.
And I wonder why I have a bit of a food addiction when I live alone now. I can't I'm doing very well with that though, so don't worry about that. But yeah,
that's good.
Cereal, Cocoa Pops, choco this shit. Yeah. So
also, it's just, excuse me, It's just also that they market to children. Like, for example, I remember when I was a kid, and that cereal, that's the cookies, and there's like a wolf or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And I wanted that because all these big companies, they market to little kids. And when we let children just sit in front of the TV, it's like, oh, I want this. I'm going to eat this because like all these outside influences are telling us to. It's hard to get that out of your head and decipher between what's healthy and what's unhealthy.
I feel so hopeful about the our species, because the next generation of people are going to be so well informed. I mean, with the internet, there comes mass spread of bullshit. Pardon my French, but of course, we have the seeking mind that we should never forsake. We seek the truth. We seek happiness, true happiness, joy. And so, we do like I did at 14. I was going through a bit of a rough patch. How to be happy. Sat there on my bed, 7:30, how to be happy. Found actualize.org. A year later, starts doing spiritual videos. There I am, learning about enlightenment at 15. Just 15 years old. So, yeah, I'm very hopeful. And what I want to do with my life, and what many people I'm sure also do is change the school food situation, bring in, whole foods, once people get a taste of that feeling of lightness and clarity of mind, all sorts of like intelligent ways to market this to schools as well. Your test grades will go up, right? Because the clarity of mind of the students will go up. And then,
for sure.
Yeah, very excited for that.
It's just a lot of things like come into effect when you start feeding your body better things. Like, for example, the school systems, let's go back to that a little bit. I know some of them are trying to implement gardening, and they'll have clubs where they can teach you how to garden, and that is amazing. That's actually something I would love to be a part of one day. And I remember in my high school, when you were talking about the food choices, I resonated with all of them, because it's like every day there's like pizza or burgers and just like all this crap. And then I remember I would always pack my lunch because I was like, I'm not going to eat this junk.
Yeah.
And I complained about it so much. My friends were like, you should do something about that. Like, because I really wanted a salad bar in school. I think that would be really cool. And so I actually went to the principal because we were kind of tight. And I was like, hey, we need better options here. Like, we should do something to give people that want to be health conscious and better themselves a good option. And so a couple months after that, salad bars were put into Kellam High School, and it was a really, really cool thing to see that go into effect.
That is so cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So you can really do that.
Yeah, for sure. Like, if you, this is kind of a corny quote, but it's one of my favorites. If you dream it, you can achieve it. Like, you can put anything in the world to effect.
That's another topic. Law of attraction. Big. Oh, okay. Like, I have to just drop it because, yeah.
It's funny you say that though, because I actually, I'm reading that book right now. It's so good.
What is that? The Secret.
The Law of Attraction.
Okay.
By Esther and Mary Hicks.
Yeah.
Fire
She's
book.
in The Secret, so yeah, amazing. We can think of the imagination is infinite. Yeah. But yeah, we'll go on to that later in the week. Yeah. The holistic health, that's the goal, isn't it? because you can eat your greens, you can do your exercise, but do you know of Paul Check?
Do I know what?
Paul Check. Man.
I haven't heard of him.
Well, I'm so glad to possibly introduce you to him. I would love for you to type that name in. Yeah, his basic thing is the 4 pillars of health, basically: movement, happiness, diet, and sleep. So,
all super, super important.
Yes. And it's just so simple, and he does a great job.
It's funny you mentioned that too, because I, for my health coaching, graduated from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And so something they really emphasized is the circle of life. And so not just looking at a person, just what they eat, but also taking into account the relationships in their life. Are they healthy? Are they unhealthy? Their spirituality. Do they meditate? Do they practice mindfulness? Looking at their career. Do they love what they do, or does it stress them out? And physical activity. Do they move their body? And then, of course, what they eat. Like, that's a huge thing. But just incorporating all these things and becoming a more balanced person is basically the goal of holistic health.
Okay. Well, great. Yeah.
It's like people tend to overcomplicate things, and it's really not that hard. Just focusing on going back to the basics, really.
Yeah. Definitely industrialization affected the human mind, we could say, perhaps, in a way. Yeah.
To say the least.
To say the least, yes. Robotics. Whoa. I'm excited about robotics because I'm just seeing how it's going to take out all the menial jobs. Okay. And
that's pretty crazy to think about, though. No brick and mortar buildings, like just robots doing all these jobs. Is that what's happening? That sounds
we're going to
scary.
live in this generation. We're young, aren't we? We are this. Where are we going to steer it? This is the purpose of this podcast and everything else I do, is if I can influence the mind of the collective engineer of the robots in a way where it's less about ego, more spiritual, then we steer this massive evolution of human stuff in a way where we get paradise on Earth instead of Armageddon. So a hell realm. So
briefly, while you were...
Sorry.
What did you say?
I'm working on that. I don't know what I did. But yeah. What were you going to say?
Oh, just when you were speaking about... you were saying about kind of releasing the ego. It reminded me of A New Earth. Have you read that book?
I actually haven't. I've read the previous.
Ooh, that's a really good one.
Yeah,
sure.
I'm kind of waiting for it. When you feel a book. Yeah. I got it on the shelf. Yeah. Oh, okay. I wonder what Eckhart thinks of robotics. Does he mention it in there at all?
He does not. That's why it's so interesting, though, because throughout this whole past couple months, pandemic madness, it really reminds me a lot of the New Earth and how a huge paradigm is currently taking place. And I believe the people that are practicing spirituality and are conscious about bettering themselves, those are the people that are going to be on the New Earth. And it's like, what's going to happen to these other people who are just kind of drudging through their days and like not taking on to these new concepts of growing and going inward? Like, now is the time to do all of those things.
Yes.
It's some pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is the service for those people, really. You know,
Mhm.
you do this as well. We're on the same mission, really. You know, all these people in health and spirituality. I believe it's really God just doing all of this, you know, through us.
I believe we're all light workers in our own way.
Yeah. So, like we were saying about the language, like speaking, we can choose whatever we say, so we can communicate anything right now. You know, I could move the needle like a percentage in the direction of more narcissism in the world, or more, you know, whatever. So it's really important how we talk and communicate.
Absolutely. It's like we have the choice every day when we wake up, whether we want to choose happiness and speak positively, or we want to live in that negativity and just portray that into the world. It's really up to us. And so each day when I wake up, I just think about like how grateful I am to be here, and the power that we have is really incredible.
Yeah.
To influence other people. It's like over social media, once you reach a certain point, people really do look up to you, you know, that's hence the name influencers. So it's so important to use your power to your advantage in a good way, you know?
Yes. And, yeah. We get to choose where to lead the people. Where do we want to go? You can only lead people to where you want to be yourself. So, yeah.
And I also think super important is to be you and be authentic at all times, you know?
Yeah.
Which can be hard nowadays, for sure.
Yes. That has been a theme of my life, authenticity, and all the problems around that and stuff, you know, like, am I authentic? All this stuff, sexuality and things like that, bullying. And I've recently had a conversation with an old friend of my mother's, who I would basically my old friend's mum, and she spoke of a situation when I was 2 or 3, and I remembered it very well. I would go into school, my first school days, in a costume of different various animals, a lion or something. As she said, she was like, she admired that individuality, and you just didn't give a fuck. And then I thought, yeah, I remember that I didn't give a fuck. And yes. So
I think it's really just going back to the way we behaved and thought as a young child. Like, that's something I constantly remind myself is like, why am I caring what other people think? You know, like, just witnessing a child play is the most beautiful thing in my eyes, because it's like, they're so goofy, they're so cool. Like, I love hanging out with kids because they're just so honest too. And it's like, you don't find that with a lot of people your age unless you are attracting those like-minded people, which I feel like lately I've been making a lot of amazing friends and meeting really cool people over social media, such as yourself, which is really refreshing, you know?
yes, refreshing. I think yeah, I have retained a lot of memory. My memory is really, really good. And as I passed through, past the age of 8, everything got fearful. I started worrying about what people thought of me and all the suffering that comes from that. If you were to, I think if we were all to experience it in one thing, we'd all die. The body wouldn't be able to take it. And we've all got a dark story. Yeah. Now, in the next episode we talk about spirituality. We can talk about the fundamental spiritual aspects which take all of this away. One of them being self equals other, and other equals self. Are you familiar with? You must.
Yes, the self and the ego. That's something that's huge. I'm actually doing these morning Zoom calls where one of my mentors is talking a lot about the ego and how ultimately every action we take is in regards to our ego. Does it benefit us? Does it not benefit us? And then just stripping all of that away, really going back to the essence of your true self.
Yeah. So when we were kids, I didn't know what ego was, blah blah blah. So what helps me and what doesn't help me usually is gradually more fixed until life can become, it can feel psychologically that there really is right things for me to do, bad things, wrong things. When a child is playing, it can imagine itself to be anything, and it can, I find it very inspiring. I feel there's wisdom that we need to really seriously, as a species, look into, because we are destroying the planet and we're destroying the species. So yeah, joy is the priority, right?
Joy, compassion, honesty, love.
Yeah, honesty, honestly express emotions. I remember I'd cry a lot as a child. It felt good to express, felt bad to compress, to depress.
I don't know. You rhymed right there, and I really like that.
Yeah.
Express, compress. That was beautiful.
Yeah. If you don't express, then you compress, which leads to depression.
Oh.
Yeah. So
that's fact. That's so true.
Yeah.
It's so important that we feel our emotions and we allow them to just be, and then we can finally process them and then move past, instead of just like, oh, I'm sad, I'm gonna cover this up, like what's the point in that? You're just pushing it down, and eventually it's all gonna fizzle up to the surface and you're gonna explode.
So I want to let the viewers know that here are two people who you can do that with, because in most people's lives, unfortunately, not really many people to do that with, right? Closed mind, but it's all going upwards positively. So yeah. Also, regarding the ability for the child to play acting, I can imagine I am Indiana Jones. My best friend here is Mutt, and we are going around the playground as I used to do, going around doing adventures. Now, that was all well and good until I it became clear to me that everyone else, they are now acting as not something I see from a movie or anything interesting, anything that they are not. But now there is an invisible sort of created soul in their body that they now call themselves, and now they're acting as themselves. They've created gradually. So now David, this is David. I'm acting as David. But David is not an act. What is David? David is, what is it? It is only what it is. We'll get onto that later on. Yeah, so,
that was deep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Main point there is who are we acting as? We don't have to act as anybody. And that's where authenticity comes, when we drop the act. We are not living to continue an act. We can be whoever we want to be.
That was a great point at the very end, saying we can be whoever we want to be. I remember, I don't know if I read something or if I just heard it over a podcast, but it's like, you can literally wake up tomorrow, and if you want to be called something completely else, you can say that's your name, If you want to be vegan all of a sudden, you can do that. If you want to quit your job and pursue your actual passion, you can do that too. It's like, we are so blessed to live in today's age. Some people might not realize it, but it's like, we have never had so much power than we do today.
Each individual, like with this, imagine 500 years ago having what is going on? Yeah. I think another thing, the power of the mind is, if we identified 100% with this lighter that I used to, not drugs, don't worry everybody.
I was like, what is that?
Yeah, I smoke crack. Yeah, no, if I identify with this 100%, I become it. It's as simple as that, isn't it? 100%. If you think about 100%, no possibility for me not to be identified with that. Then, that's a psychological ability. There are crazy people who identify, we used to call them crazy, identify a coffee table. It's like, but that's kind of what we're doing, isn't it? Most people identifying with a human body, the cells of which replace themselves each 7 years. So I'm not sure. And yeah, and also cutting my fingernails, a piece of me goes in the bin. So what? There's all sorts of little nuggets I can give to sort of reveal the infinity of us, of the people. Because then life becomes play. And that's what we want. What do we want to do at school? We want to play. We don't have to work. Life doesn't have to be drudgery. This is all play.
Right.
We're having a conversation. We can make money from this, and many people do. And we just... yes, I'm seeing myself there. Yeah. Oh, man. So pay to play. Get paid.
That's something big that I've been chatting about with some of my friends lately. It's like, we have such big goals and visions for the future of what we want to manifest and how many people we want to impact and just the positive changes we want to pursue. But it's like, ultimately, how do we make money? You know what I mean? Like, I haven't been working at my serving job since March, just because I had told my manager it's time for me to pursue my passion as a health coach and study Ayurveda, pursue my personal training, and just work on my business. It's time for me to do those things, but I haven't been making a ton of money, to be transparent, but in my eyes it's okay, because
Yes.
I know behind purpose there's passion, and that's really all that matters. As long as I keep my eye on the prize and just try to reach as many people as possible, like that's really all we can do.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I can say here. One of them is my friend Tarun says, build it and they'll come. Yeah,
I love that.
you'll love Tarun. He's a previous podcast guest, about 4 podcasts, from India. I'm gonna go to India. Yes, let's go.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, another thing is we could die tomorrow. So do you want the next day to be spent making money for tomorrow, the day after tomorrow? Or do you want to be learning about Ayurveda? Interesting. Do you want to be living do you want to be, because you can say life's a dream. Do you want to have a really interesting dream? Or, I want to, what art gallery do we want to go into? Ones with boring paintings or interesting paintings? Interesting.
Right. Like life is our design, and we can create whatever we want. It's really cool.
And so like life as our design requires that we become free of at least like quite a lot of automatic behavior. So I've been looking at my behavior, and I'm not in like a behavior, you're misbehaved, but like just my behavior as I've been living alone. I'm just like, okay, a lot of automatic behavior going on here. And so the consciousness though is the control. That's what I would say. So anything that can raise our consciousness, increase our consciousness. And like this child that wore the suit, the animal costume, still here. Hello, everybody. Right? He's learned loads of language, and he's now just able to communicate really in subtle, very subtle, granular ways. So now he can communicate to himself there, or the rest of the world, the rest of the class, and say, if you don't want to suffer, if you want to play all your life, which you do, because let me tell you, working is hell. Working is, there's a lot I can say. But,
no, I'll agree with that for sure. I think working for the man, that's hell. When you're locked in the system, that a lot of people are. But it's like, even when you do work for yourself, like I'm grinding, don't get me wrong. Like I put in work, but I don't hate a second of it, like my passion fuels my purpose. And so it's like, even when I do work 8 to 10 hour days, I'm doing things I love, like I'm on social media preaching about health, wellness, helping other people that are in my messages, just asking me questions. Like I love it. you know?
And so like because the work, when I was a kid, when I felt so much myself, I felt no, there was no social conditioning. I felt absolutely intensely me. It didn't matter what I did. I wear an animal costume. That's just my infinite creativity expressing itself. And that, the work was having to learn this bullshit, or this stuff, and getting punished if I didn't do it. So that's the work. But so the play is what we do. Is natural play, right? But the way what I was getting to was the way we basically avoid work. The way we escape school, we could say in this metaphor, is the raising of our consciousness. So anything that we can do to raise our consciousness, health, lower consciousness animals tend to sort of eat meat and stuff like that, bullshit food. Yeah, and yeah, sleep, movement, happiness, and diet.
Yeah. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I really feel like it's just raising our vibration, whether we make that conscious choice to put in the work on our inner self and doing all those things, like you said, prioritizing health, movement, sleep, our well-being, happiness. That's what will really improve us and ultimately the world as a whole.
Yeah. So how much time we got? We're basically at the end, aren't we?
I have a call at 3.
Pardon?
I have a call now, but I can slide in a little late, so we can wrap up.
Yeah. Okay. So final thoughts for this little discussion.
A big discussion. We covered a lot, man.
Yeah.
A lot of heavy topics too. There's a lot to think about and process after this.
Yes. Well, if you'd like to, the viewer, get in contact with either of us, our links will be in the description. And just never let go of that pull to truth. That ability for life to be as good as it was back then, whenever your back then was. So most people do have a back then. It can be better than back then forever. All it takes is knowledge, the application of such. Yeah. What do you have to say?
I think just playing off of what you said is, at the end of each day, simply reflect on what you did well, maybe what you could improve on, what you didn't do so well. And then from there, when you wake up the next day, just strive to improve 1%. If you're doing that every single day, in 5 years, you will be leaps and bounds ahead of where you first started.
Yeah. Okay. I'll end it here. I want to talk forever, but yeah. Yeah.
We'll get together this upcoming week for sure. We have a lot more to talk about.
I think we do. Yeah. I'm really glad we've met. It's been really good. But yeah, what day do you know now, or?
I have to look at my schedule and get back to you, but I can let you know by the end of this evening.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well,
It's a pleasure connecting with you.
Yes. Thank you so much, and yeah, have a great next call. What are you doing?
Thank you. I'm having a virtual superfood social, so I'm going to be talking about organic nutrition.
Yeah, you're warmed up.
Yeah, for sure. Got the juices flowing.
All right. Well, I'll let you go. Let it go.
Right.
Let it go. Okay.
Let it go.
Goodbye. God bless you.
Bless. I'll chat with you soon.
Yes. Peace.
Farewell.